Greetings everybody, and welcome to our video today. I'm here with my friend and a guest, Gloria, who's going to talk to us, or we're going to talk together about cancer. Now, Gloria heard that word from her doctor, and since then the months have rolled by where she has experienced various treatments and the resources which gave her the strength to find her way through this rather difficult time. And so Gloria is going to tell us her story. And we hope that her story will be helpful to people who either seeking treatment at the present time, or maybe somebody will hear that word cancer in the near future. And hopefully the words of Gloria today will be words of hope. The words of hope that with the treatments and all the rest of it, that things can turn out pretty good. So Gloria, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Now Gloria, I think the first question I'm going to ask you, because it's a question that everybody talks about, is when you heard the doctor say to you, Gloria, you have cancer, what was that like for you? What was the impact?
Well, I felt shocked initially, and it took me a while to kind of process it because, you know, it was blindsiding. In fact, I hadn't had any real problems with health. Way back when I was 5 years old, I had my tonsils out and that was it. So, you know, adjusting to the point that I might possibly die, you know, really struck fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went into a bit of a depression, and I really felt like I was at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
You know, just with the uncertainty and again with the word, even mentioning the word cancer, you know, it brings up a lot of fear in oneself. And you just wonder, well, what is in store for me from this point?
Yeah, and I must point that, because a lot of times when we hear the word cancer, then we think of, am I going to die?
Yes,
And that's pretty scary.
it is scary.
And I also wonder, what moved you then to alleviate your fears, in the sense you started a journey of treatment. Could you tell us a little bit about how you began and what that journey was like as you sought the different treatment from the different healthcare people?
Okay, well, it started out at my local doctor's in Peterborough in his office. I'd been having a lot of difficulties with various little sort of things happening to me, like a sense of weakness and profound tiredness. And so finally we both came to a point where we didn't know where we were at. Mm-hmm. So the doctor then ordered an ultrasound. And as soon as the technician there was going over and over my liver, I knew I was in trouble somewhere. Because there was too many photos that she was taking of that. Anyway, it showed up that I did have tumors, and then at that time I had to wait for a while for a CAT scan, which again confirmed my diagnosis. And in that time, the doctor here, contacted Lakeridge because we didn't want to go to Toronto; it was too far away, etc. And a doctor who is a gynecologist, obstetrician, and surgeon, and that would have been the best fit for me. And I've been very, very fortunate to have had this lady, because I attribute, amongst other people, of course, that she saved my life. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, they did blood work and it became a pattern, because at first I was, you know, confused. We hadn't been to any of the workshops to tell us where to go and that. And when I looked around at the various stages of cancer, because it is a cancer center in Lakeridge, Oshawa, you know, we were, I was even more afraid. You know, I would see maybe a limb off or something,
Yeah,
and
right.
and that. But you know, initially that's my feeling. But as it progressed, you know, it got better. So the doctor then talked to the whole family. We were there, and but she gave me hope. Her approach was good. She gave me hope and comfort to the family, and that she said that she thought she could help me.
Mhm.
So that was kind of a good thing right off the bat, because we'd never met her before or anything else. And time went on, so around December the 18th, when the holiday time came and there was all kinds of, you know, having to adjust for different appointments and
Yeah.
that, I had everything done at once. I had a biopsy, and I had a gastroscopy and a colonoscopy, and it was just within 2 days.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and you know, everything seemed to snowball, and I felt so overwhelmed at first, you
Overwhelmed.
know. But things got better as you got into a routine.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I had my first chemo treatment, and you do get side effects, but you learn to manage them as you go along, and because it's better for you first of all, and that. And they gave me the proper medications so that I wouldn't be nauseous and things like that. So that was good. But in turn, there's, you know, side effects from that too. My hair all came out, and that was a bit of a loss. And people would say, they try to make you feel better, and they would say, oh, it'll grow back. But it just felt like another loss,
Another
you know, in a
loss.
series of losses.
Uh-huh.
But you learn to adjust to that. So I just had the rest of the hair cut off, and from now on I've been wearing a hat kind of thing, or a head covering, and so then, you know, I had a series of chemo treatments. Each of them would be 6 hours long, and 21 days apart. And you had your emotional kind of ups and downs during that time, because you're still wondering where you're going. You're still dealing with tiredness and things like that. But it's just been amazing. You know, people have been from all corners, it seems, and even one from Australia, that people that you hardly knew would come, or they'd make you a supper, or they would give you many cards and words of comfort, and you really felt that strength. And as time went on, from other groups, like there's a Reiki group that I know in Peterborough, and they gave me sort of the energy I needed when I felt that it was really waning, you know, especially just after getting a treatment. And then you'd have to be kind of confined for the first 7 days to the house, because you know, your immune system is compromised and things like that. So you start getting a little down. So what I used to do is take the dog Faithfully, a little dog, every day for a 45-minute walk. And some days, you know, you felt like you were weaker than others, but most times I was okay. But just getting out and communing with nature, you know, gave you such a sense of calmness and that. So it was good for me that way.
Yeah. I get a sense, though, that even though it was very frightening in the beginning, and probably much of the journey, at the same time I get a sense that you saw it in terms of managing this rather than relying totally on the healthcare system, that you had to do your part.
Yes, I felt in a lot of ways, first of all, the side effects. After the first time you get side effects, like the one medication that stops you feeling sick would affect my legs. Now every case is different, of course, but it would make them swell. So I quickly learned you get off your feet before they start to swell and elevate them.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I meant in management. And in other ways, well, spiritually, I initially was down in the dumps,
Yeah.
and that. And so I thought, well, you know, there's ways of helping myself emotionally and spiritually, excuse me, and so I started doing a meditation called the Yahweh meditation, and where you repeat the word Yahweh out loud, but not very loud, you know, just so you can hear it. And I wasn't feeling, like I was so emotional that I needed spiritual support as well. And so I would do this meditation, and the longer you did it, the more you became sort of connected with the higher power or God, as I believe. And after a while, I began to sort of ask, at least if I can't be cured, at least be helped, that I don't die. And I think a lot of people at that point in time would feel along those lines too. And somehow, I went from a place of being very low and to suddenly one of acceptance. And I thought, well, if this can't be lifted from me, at least accept it and meet it head on in an active sort of way, in a positive sort of way. Otherwise, you just get down lower and lower, and it just won't help. And then all the people that have been, praying for me, the Sisters of St. Joseph, and some masses were said for me, and just people that I had no idea, or that I hardly knew, as I said, would say, we're praying for you, and family, they're so supportive. They would come with me. My husband would come with me faithfully to the Cancer Society, and when I was feeling down, he would try to support me with encouragement and that. And my daughter, she would cook meals, and my other daughter would buy me little hats or whatever, rides or whatever. People would offer rides, and neighbors even, and if they asked questions about my hat, because I decided against a wig because I felt it'd be too hot. And if they asked questions, I told them, I got cancer now.
Yeah, so
and
you were very upfront with letting people know that you were being treated for cancer.
Yes, and I feel that that's good, because my poor mother, she also died of cancer, although it's unrelated in that, but she thought in her way she could save our feelings and help, but we felt, we missed being left out and helping her. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and live as normal life as I can, although you're tethered to the hospital pretty much with appointments and that. But no, I just told them what I had, which was ovarian cancer, and it had metastasized to the liver. So there was major surgery to be done, and so that was daunting as well.
Yeah, there was a surgery done at Lake Ridge.
Yes, the surgery was done on April the 17th. I guess one wouldn't forget that date very easily, and I was really afraid of it. But a friend who's operating OR nurse in another department, she actually came in and hugged me as I got an epidural, and I was very aware of everything. I was looking at all the operating room equipment, and I noted that the doctor was in the corner reading the CAT scan in order to do the best by me in her planning of the surgery. And the girl that came to see me had never met me, but through another friend. She was able to come in, so she hugged me. You are in a certain position for the epidural. My knees were just shaking, but I had to do it. I knew I had to do it, so I just, made the commitment to go ahead and accept whatever happens. This was before Easter, so you kind of felt like you were the sacrificial lamb at the time, but anyway, just a thought went through my mind. But anyway, I came through the surgery well. A lot was done. It was 4 hours, and then recovery time at the hospital, and some incidences there. But I got through each step, and that was another thing about this doctor. I'm one that has to know, and so I wanted to ask her so many questions, but she would only take it in sections, because as as it was, I was overwhelmed
That's
initially.
what saved so much, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so she said, no, we won't go past the chemo at this time. We will take that and then we will talk about surgery, etc. And that was a very good approach, because when one is really kind of anxious, you
Yes,
know,
right.
it's a good approach and allows you to, you know, get through each stage
Yeah,
and that.
yeah. But I think I hear you saying though that the day of the surgery was a pretty nervous day for you to
Oh.
think that they're gonna perform that kind of a serious surgery.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the incision is the full length of my abdominal area as well. So, you know, I was in, again, I shouldn't be, but I was in fear
Yeah,
of perhaps dying on
Dying.
the table, but probably not. But I was, you know, afraid for if they didn't get it all. What if
Yeah.
they didn't get it? What if they had to damage your organs in order to
Yeah.
get it all?
Yeah.
Or whether I would have, all these questions went flooding my mind, you
area,
know,
yeah.
and so I was very nervous, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But I mean, once I was out, you know, I didn't know anything till I was back on the surgical floor for
Yeah.
recovery.
recovery, eh?
Hmm.
Yeah. And when you talked a minute ago about some of the resources, did you ever ask God, why me? Or why,
I probably, yes, I don't remember, but I probably did, you know, but yes, since I've never been sick, you know,
Yeah.
hardly ever, that, yes, why me? Because I never thought of it past a certain age that
yeah,
I would ever get cancer, and so that's why it was like as I said, I felt broadsided that and I wasn't coping initially. I was
No.
very, very depressed.
depressed, eh?
Yes.
But a sense of being overwhelmed by this thing.
Yes, yes.
With the thoughts that you have, and very realistic thoughts.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the sense of, can they do anything to help me? Can they really bring me through this? And serious surgery. And you mentioned that you're, unlike your mother, who maybe tried to protect the family, that you decided to keep your family involved in the whole journey.
Well, there wouldn't be any keeping them back anyway, but you know, we're pretty close, and right from the beginning, everybody was quite involved. And I must say one thing that's just come to mind, though. Our granddaughters in Windsor getting further education and that, and she had been home for Christmas, and I wanted to spare her for a little while till we had chance to sit down and talk, because when she went back, she wouldn't have the same kind of
Yeah.
support that I was having here,
Mhm.
even though I'm the one that was going through it. And we waited for a time, and then suddenly something slipped. So I said, okay, Raina, our granddaughter, I said, you come into the bedroom and I will tell you everything. And I did. And she cried and that. And I said, but don't worry, I'll get through this, because, you know, the doctor has said she can help me.
Okay.
I'm not past help.
Yes.
And even though it was third stage cancer. And anyway, we of course cried and cuddled,
Oh.
and I said, you have to believe that I'll be all right,
Right.
and you'll have, well, I'm going to cry, and you have to believe that things will be okay, and that I promise you, I will not keep a thing from you,
Right.
from you. And so from that point on, you know, everybody knows just exactly where I'm at. In fact, everybody outside the family, I think, do too, because they continue to ask, you know, how are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
And so I tell them how I'm doing and the progress and that. And you feel that support, you feel that energy from all sorts of sources. You know, you can actually feel the energy, just because I feel I haven't really gotten, I get down at times, the odd time,
Yes.
but I never sunk to the depth of despair that I
No.
was at when I initially
You
heard it.
initially heard the word, eh, and
Mhm.
what it was.
Mhm.
But something tells me you tapped into some kind of resilience within yourself. And you said accepting. And also the idea that there's a lot you needed to do along with the healthcare system, like going for a walk and working your way through different faiths. So it speaks to me about the resilience within yourself that you tapped into. And I'm wondering, did you know that you always had that resilience? Is that part of who Gloria is?
No, that was quite the opposite, because I'm one that would sit in the back row someplace where my husband would be up reading or to an audience or something like that. I just, and I really felt low and that I couldn't cope and all the rest of it, and actually felt negative. But when I did start to meditate and feel that connection with God, I actually did feel much like the inner strength.
Right.
And there was just some kind of a change that I felt that I could accept it and cope with it, and deal with whatever comes as it comes and take it day by day, because you can't go back, you can't go forward, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So you have to live in the day,
Pretty much, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that trying to stay, it must have been hard though to keep your mind in the day. The mind must have wanted to go down the road way ahead of you.
Yes, when each time I go to the doctor, I would have a myriad of questions. And
Yeah.
she was quite patient, actually, and just because I went on Google, which is, people said, don't go on Google, you'll just get more stressed out, which I did, but also I had to know. And if I didn't have that basic knowledge, well, more I read all I could,
Yeah.
then everything came together for me as what they were doing, how it was going to affect me, where I was going. So that gave me a sense of knowledge is a good thing kind of thing. And, and the doctor was straightforward with me, because in chemo 3, there's 6 altogether that normally you have. And I was on my 3rd chemo, and they have what they call markers on the liver and CA-125, which has to do with ovarian cancer. Anyway, it's in the blood work. It has to do with the baseline of where you are at with your cancer, whether it's advanced, stayed still, or you're going backwards. So between in the 3rd chemo treatment, I found that, or she told me that there wasn't much difference between that, and I realized, okay, my mind is running ahead at this point. Oh my gosh, if that doesn't work, I'm in trouble, because what's going to happen is, well, a lot of things, but anyway, so she said, don't worry, I will treat it aggressively. So usually they give 3 cancer treatments before surgery and 3 after, but this time she gave me a 4th one. And at this point, some increase and some not so much. And so what she did was felt that was the time, and readjusted her own schedule in the chaotic Christmas holidays when people aren't there and all the rest of it. And she readjusted her schedule to have my operation in April, and try to make it as close as the last visit to the 4th chemo that I'd had. So at this point then, I had some more hope, because she said, and she's one to move ahead. So you really learn, it's almost like a second family for a while, and if you put your trust in the doctor, as soon as you, have come to the acceptance that she's going to be the one for you, then I was able to just wait and see, so anyway, she did that. She had the surgery done and got most of it, as I already said, in a 4 operation. So, I was feeling more confident then.
But I think somehow along the way, you developed a tremendous trust in your surgeon.
Yes, I did. Actually, she did all 3 things, the oncology, so I did have a couple of reactions to the one. I had 2 drugs, and they do have reactions, and they became flushed, etc. But anyway, she promptly, readjusted the dosage, and the medications ahead of schedule, such as Benadryl and that,
Yeah.
to counteract the reactions, which made it better. And during surgery, she certainly was thorough, and she worked to get me, sort of set up to
Right.
have the operation as
Yeah.
fast as she could. And then afterwards, the other chemos, and she said, unfortunately, you're going to have the sixth one for sure, and maybe not the seventh, in case things went
Yeah.
wrong. So I did trust her. I learned to trust her. And the family did too.
In the family, eh?
Because the family is so important at that time. You really need them, not as a crutch, but as, as a support, I guess.
Support for sure.
For sure, yes.
Because you wouldn't want to be going through this alone.
No.
No.
And some people do. I mean,
dare say.
I've seen some go to chemo, and if you go back enough times, you see some of the same people,
Same people.
and if you see them twice and they still don't have somebody with them, it must be difficult.
Difficult
Mm-hmm.
to walk that journey alone.
Mm-hmm.
And but you, as I said, were very fortunate to have the family which journey with you,
And
and
friends.
then you had all the friends that journey with you. And you said that the energy, that somehow that's an interesting take on it, that there was energy flowing that helped your energy to be up and not down.
Yes. I mean, even in the Reiki things, they work on your energies and try to, balance them in some way. And you have to have a certain amount of faith that they are helping you, that they are receiving the energy and giving it to you, because you would feel a little better, after. And I'm sure it would have been worse for me if I hadn't had that sort of extra strength, both physically and through God and the support of friends, emotionally and mentally, because it all has to come together as a mind, body, and soul sort of
Yeah.
thing. And if it doesn't, it makes it much more difficult for one. And even being sort of up most of the time and being able to talk about it, that's been a source of inner strength too, because I know, before that I wasn't as strong as I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what it happens when you go through a time like this, that you somehow bring to the surface inner resources that a lot of times you don't know you have.
That's true, yes. Yes, I do know that I had a sense of there was a change, that I had a sense of being more positive, more grateful, more spiritual, and a stronger person. And I know more grateful, that's for sure, because at one point, even like the Cancer Society drivers, now they'll volunteer. They've had some connection with cancer, and they want to give back, and so they would listen to me chat about my treatments, but they would send, sort of give some of their input too. But wherever you can get sort of a positive energy from people and thoughts, I would take it. That's what I did, and
But somehow you decided to be open and to soak up all the positive energy that came your way.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody does that.
No, and that's difficult. If they could only, try these methods like meditating, even if it's foreign to them and all the rest of it, doesn't matter. You can try it, and if you need help, ask for help, and whatever it takes. There's so many sources at Lake Ridge itself, and I mean other hospitals too, but I'm speaking from my own experience. And they have workshops, they have things that you can go online and talk to other people that have been through it, because sometimes it has to be another person who's gone through it to really, really understand the ups and downs and the roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it must be, as you said, a terribly roller coaster ride with the ups and the downs and the fearful thoughts and all the rest of it. And But I guess it's like anything, if somebody else has already gone through it, then they can really connect at a deeper level because they have made the journey.
Exactly that, and you start to think at a deeper level.
Yeah,
You
deeper.
certainly do, because I go on, and it's not all roses and,
No.
but you know what I mean. When I go for a walk with the dog, I'm more aware, and when I see the sunlight on the leaves of the trees, shining, and that, it just seems so much more vivid. The colors seem so much more vivid, and you become so much more grateful for all those sort of things. You look up at the moon, a full maybe golden moon one night, and all the stars like diamonds, and you feel like you're part of a greater thing, the interconnectedness of people and nature and all the rest of it.
So it seems when you say that, there's a spiritual awakening of connectedness with the bigger picture,
Yes.
with the more, as I call it. And somehow you get a sense that you're at one with the moon and the stars and people and nature. You're
Yes.
at one with them.
For sure, and people that are not related or whatever. I mean, you're finding yourself being more aware of the needs of others, like for instance, this one person, she'd been looking after her husband, and even though she had support, like caregivers, family caregivers especially, even though she did have support, she said she just wished that sometimes that she could, get a sense of relief by being able to go out and get away from it all, not to diminish the love and the care, but just for their own sort of, and so even after all this, you get a sense of wanting to give back, I find, and so it doesn't have to be right away, because I don't feel ready yet, because I still haven't even gone back to discuss the last chemo effects, in which case I got a blood clot again in the same left arm, but I'll get through it. It's just a little setback, and you go on a blood thinner and that, which is uncomfortable, but you're able to, again, as I say, accept things and meet them and deal with them in an active way. Don't sit back, because if you do, you just become depressed and feel, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable if talking to people, whatever they say or think is their own thoughts, you just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess as I listen to you, do you sort of find yourself not being afraid of depression anymore?
I'm not afraid of it, but it does happen at times. It shouldn't, but it does at times. And that's when, if you take a walk, don't lie there and think about it. Get up and do something. Take that walk. Don't lie in bed all day long. And I know some people aren't as lucky as I am, where they wouldn't be as mobile, but at least make the attempt, and that, just being active in your own care gives you a sense of self worth, and a sense that you have some power over your own life when you've been, sort of at the discretion of so many treatments and of other people. So you want to have that sense that I'm still having some control of my life. So you have to do something, and to change your way of thinking. If you're always negative, you have to change and be positive. I learned that.
That must be one of the biggest, is to change your thinking about things, eh?
Yes.